Men are better than women at almost everything.
Once it started showing up, it didn't stop.
See, this is the problem, right? Women aren't able to like come to logical conclusions.
It was just there, like just always there. And then that trickled into real life conversations and just kind of like so many different avenues of my life.
Isn't it ironic how ever since we've given women rights, they've made themselves less valuable?
Flynn Martin says he was radicalised by the manosphere 4 years ago.
So I think I was 20 years old and 2 years out of school and had gone through year 12 during COVID. I was frustrated that I didn't know what I was doing, and then all this content, like the manosphere content, just started flooding my algorithm.
After consuming months of these kinds of clips.
Well, women are also addicted to drama. This is something else you have to understand about females.
That's very true.
Females are addicted to drama.
From the front seat of his car, Flynn recorded videos that took him from hobby content creator to another prophet of misogyny.
Is it actually okay to be like a white, straight male?
He went viral.
Like, not to sound like Andrew Tate, but like, it's all very convenient depending on like, oh, men are only good for that. But as soon as they start opening their little useless, stupid mouths, I don't want to hear it.
It didn't even really matter whether I was believing it or not. I think at that point it had just kind of become part of like my language, I guess.
Anti-feminist groups have existed for a very long time. What's shifted is they've now moved online and in fact proliferated and expanded in powerful and troubling ways.
In new research, Professor Michael Flood has been mapping the pipeline to the so-called manosphere.
So the manosphere is an online ecosystem of anti-feminist groups, networks and communities. There are diverse communities and networks in the manosphere, from incels and men's rights advocates to pickup artists to MGTOW, or men going their own way. But there's also a shared hostility towards women.
With a team from Deakin and Dublin City Universities, 50 men from within the manosphere were interviewed across Australia and Ireland. The transcripts revealed several confronting patterns. In some cases, young men wanted to live out a power fantasy online.
Honestly, it was fun to talk about like how much you hate women. Okay, how can I take that even further and just be the most vile person?
The interviews also reveal many men never went looking for the manosphere, but it still found them.
They were looking for information on fitness or financial advice or sexual success, and as part of that encountered influencers who were next to the manosphere or in fact bleeding into the manosphere.
My dad never really had teaching moments of women and like how to relate to them and how to impress them or whatever.
There's also the stuff that's really easy to fall into. Do these 3 exercises to become more attractive to women.
And in fact, it escalated in its extremism too. So they would go from kind of manosphere light content to much more extreme, much more explicitly hostile, explicitly misogynistic content relatively quickly.
A prominent figure who features in feeds is Andrew Tate. His content promotes an alpha male lifestyle and tips on how to coerce women.
She has like a really strong social circle and she really insists on seeing them, they're going to have people do it to her. And it's in your best interest to get her away from that social circle.
Last month, Tate and his brother Tristan were arrested in the United States and face extradition to the United Kingdom on charges that included rape, human trafficking and child abuse material.
The charges relate to 7 victims, spanning a period from 2010 to 2017.
Some of those research interviewees praised him.
A lot of stuff he says is a bunch of bullshit, but at the same time, you can't lie with results.
Once it was in the algorithm, it was very hard to get it out of the algorithm.
Another emerging issue is that so-called geek culture has become a Trojan horse to the manosphere, including forums for gaming and sci-fi. Subjects like Star Wars and Doctor Who forums were also mentioned.
There are people who just flat out say, oh no, I didn't like it because it was progressive and a woman was the character.
One of the guys who was in my World of Warcraft guild at the time, was just talking about it, and I'm like, oh, f it, all right, I'll have a look.
And so it holds out a false promise of support, of community, of powerful masculine identity. Ultimately, a promise that's hollow and that, leaves men feeling even more embittered and angrier.
I think, particularly if it comes to young people, they look up to these men. They are role models to these young people. And if these men are saying that, to dominate a woman, to tell her what her role is acceptable, then that is something that if they hear it often enough, they may be more likely to say, well, this is the behaviour that I should be showing.
Carolyn Robinson says from her experience, the manosphere is having a detrimental impact on the progress made in preventing domestic violence.
Within our client group, the women and the children that we work with, they have lived in a household where they were seen as lesser than. Not all gender inequality is going to lead to domestic and family violence, but all domestic and family violence starts with gender inequality. So there is certainly a link there with the messaging that is coming through the manosphere.
Her charity has created a new app to offer young men healthy and verified advice from well-known role models.
I really do hold on to hope because, if we're looking at this logically, the manosphere is a group of men, but how many men are we surrounded by that are really incredible, decent men who make wonderful role models for the young men in our lives?
Yo.
Hey Flynn, how are you? After Flynn posted his video and it went viral, severe public backlash and a mental health episode led to a break from social media, which he says pulled him out of the manosphere. Have you had time to think about what was going through your head at that time?
So yeah, I can clearly see where I was wrong, and even though it's a really disgraceful video, I think I still hold a lot of empathy for myself in that period because I can just clearly see that that's someone who's struggling and doesn't really know what they're talking about. And I was just having really in-depth conversations with so many mental health professionals, and I was lucky enough to have access to two really, really supporting and understanding parents, and also a really, really solid group of friends who were really just helping me throughout that whole time. I think if you already are in that space and you're kind of deep within it, you're gonna have to learn the hard way like I did. But if you're kind of in those early stages and starting to form those things, I feel like the best thing that I could say is all the answers that you're looking for aren't there.